Good morning. Good morning.
Hello,
Good morning.
hello.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Vibe here. It is the Morning Vibe, March 18th, 2022 edition. That is 2022 edition here at the Morning Vibe. My name is, as I said, Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I am the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care and co-sponsored by DAD Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization. And to, I guess, I don't know what direction on my screen, Ryan Media Knight. How are you, Dr. Knight?
Yeah, not too bad. Always good to see you. And for
Right
those
back
that
at
don't
you.
know who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage to figure out what stage their business is in and then help them grow their companies exponentially. So I'm also a business owner. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean the cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And I am excited about these double digits. I'm seeing spring on the horizon. Let
Yes, it's
it
your time of year.
linger. Yes, it is go
Yes,
time.
it's mobile time.
Yes.
It's mobile time. So what's been going on in your world this week?
So, not sure if anybody heard the announcement yesterday about the new $10,000 grant for small businesses. So, it was announced by MPP Amarjad Sandhu yesterday at the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. And I believe Parm Gill, the minister, was also there. I guess it's through their portfolio. So, if you're running a business, it has to be in Ontario. You can get up to $10,000 to support with your digital transformation plan. So if you remember, we've talked a lot about Digital Main Street. And so Digital Main Street is also running this program, which is similar to the other one that you got $2,500. Now you can get up to $10,000, but you have to act quick because they put $5 million into this fund and they're giving $10,000 checks. So that's about 500 businesses, and it's specifically for Indigenous and Black entrepreneurs. So definitely check out this one.
So great for the announcement. What are the qualifications?
Well, when I was reading the website, it's pretty straightforward. You 1 to 10 employees or equivalent. So it's interesting that they put or equivalent. So I don't think you have to have employees on payroll. They can be subcontractors or just the owner. Operating a business in Ontario. What else? Self-identify as Black or Indigenous.
Do you have to have? Does your business have to be registered?
I didn't say it. I didn't see it say that, but actually, let me pull it up because
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it would. Yeah,
I'd like to know about that part because
yeah.
I don't think they're just good. Because, and again, when people think about, let me put it this way: 2/3 of the people out there come to me looking for grants,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of times you're looking for grants. Your company has to be registered.
Yeah, that is
So I did.
typically.
So to me, I'd like to know if that's part of the process or not.
Yeah, well, we are doing an info session on Wednesday coming up. So we typically review grants that are available. So we'll be able to dig deeper into the criteria. I'll see if
Yes.
I can pull it up before we finish today.
Yes,
But
I find that very interesting
yeah.
because if and actually I have an associate that actually works high up in the Ontario
Mhm.
government, and he sent me that information. Well, but I'd like to know. So before we go any further, good morning, Angie. Good morning, Tim. Tim Friend saying, "What is the grant application link?" So if you are able to share that with us or put in the
Yes,
back
I'll
end
grab it.
and I can bring it back up. But yeah, I'd like to know because if you don't need to be registered, I think you need to be registered. Just having people apply like crazy, that's just going to be an onslaught.
And especially since there's a limited amount,
Yeah, that
like
money's
there's
gonna
only
go real quick.
500. So yeah, you not being registered, and you have to be registered before. So I'm sure they would keep that criteria.
Okay, so interesting. So registered company tax is done. Okay, so Liquid Green Products is telling us you have to be a registered company,
Mhm.
taxes done, good credit score, I think 600 plus. So again, all the grant onrushers. Now again,
I don't think this one is asking for your credit score
you don't? Okay. Well,
because it's
Vibe,
not a loan.
so Ryan's organization ACBN will be doing a briefing on it.
Hold
Okay,
on, I put the link
Angie,
in the chat so you can
yeah,
check it out.
yeah, okay. Angie saying I think all business needs to be registered, so that's going to eliminate some people right there. Because a lot of people when they come to me about grants, they say, "Okay, is your business registered?" No, and I said, "Okay, well, why don't you even it costs like $60 even to register a sole proprietorship,
Exactly.
right? $60, and then again, so read through. They say it's all in the details, folks. So please read. I know everyone's gonna, oh, grant money. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go.
All right,
No,
actually, give me one sec.
no problem. I'm actually going to put it up on the banner here for people to read more. So Tim, you were all right. Let me do this. So there is the website address, digitalmainstreet.ca /raise.
Mhm.
So this just adds to the further offerings out there that are out there for money. So we'll put that website address up again a little bit later. Like I have nothing against, and again,
Mhm.
I have nothing against grants. A long time ago, I said, and then someone said, "Well, it's government money. You pay taxes, etc." But it's
Mhm.
so crazy. I'm a strong believer other alternatives, but that's a whole other conversation of getting money. But hey, if it's out there, go for it. But again, read the details.
Yeah, and for me, it's like stack everything. Like if you're gonna go for alternatives, that's good, but banks are also just sitting there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're sitting there, but it's ultra competitive, depending
right.
on the grant.
But
Some have less
the one way
stipulations
to
than others.
guarantee you don't get it is to not apply. So
True,
if
true,
you're like seeing it sitting there and just thinking, oh, it's too competitive and not gonna apply, guaranteed not to get it.
true. But then you also have the process, the infrastructure, and the patience to do it.
Agreed. Yes.
You know,
And
it's not
that's
a
why
lot.
we do our grant writing sessions. So, aside from the Wednesday info session, on March 25th, we're actually doing a full working group. So, we're going to walk people through the application and actually do it with people. So, if you're stuck and you want guidance to get it in, I would definitely come to the March 25th session because
Right.
that way we're going to go slower and get it actually
What
completed.
time do you know what time that's going to be happening?
Yeah, that'll be at 1 o'clock
Okay, so
on March
maybe
25th.
a few before you do that 25th show, if you can provide us the link and we can put it up during every morning vibe up until and including a date. So we have
Yes.
three more shows until that date. If you can get us a link for Monday and we can put that
Yeah.
up and have the onslaught of people come in for the grant money.
Absolutely. Don't miss it.
There
And
you
this is
go.
where, because it's Black focused, we want to make sure, but it's Black and Indigenous. So we want to make sure that we've been supporting Black entrepreneurs for 4 years now. So when this type of opportunity comes up, we want to be able to make sure that they know it exists and get it in, because we keep asking for things that are specific to Black people. And again, this is Black, Indigenous, and they throw racialized in there. So
Oh
it
yeah.
opens it up, but we should have minimum that 500. We should have 500 plus applications coming from the Black community automatic.
Oh, but and by the way, is there an election coming up?
Oh, funny you should ask. Provincial elections, and it's in full gear. June 2nd, I believe, is the
Hmm.
election, provincial election.
Oh,
So
and this announcement just came out. Oh, okay.
I'm sure
I'm,
one, and this was one. There's another one this week too about Brampton getting a medicine school.
okay.
So the provincial government launched that, but
Yeah,
I didn't
actually,
hear too much
at
about it.
Scarborough's getting a medical school too. It's the University of Scarborough campus. The government announced this week that they're going to be building a medical facility as part of the. So, man, it's an election. All right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Angie makes a very interesting point. One cannot rely on grants to finance your business. You need to show that you have other means of financing your business. Facts, Angie. Facts.
Yes, 100%. And that's
Thank you.
where you're saying like a lot of entrepreneurs will tell you like, oh, I'm looking for grants. I'm looking for grants. When you're looking for grants as the way to actually fund your business, exactly like Angie was saying, that is not sustainable. Like you have to be able to make sales, market yourself, and actually sell your product. Then
Mm-hmm.
grants amplify what you're doing. And again, like coming out of the pandemic, grants can kind of subsidize a bit of the hit you might have got, but it can't be something that you're using to just start your business and keep it running. So
Yeah, I want to shout out
100%.
everyone, people watching today on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. So thank you so much. Angie says, yes, elections coming. All political indirectly buying votes. LOL. There you go.
Can't argue with that.
Okay. So after that soft introduction, we have I guess, yeah, I saw this lady in some articles and some videos lately. I'm going, there's a lot. The list is getting longer of people when we meet face to face. I need to bring my book and my pen so I can get their autographs. Like you're one of them. She's one of them. Nicole Waldron, like all these people. I've got to, actually, I've got the book here. So this is the book I'm going to carry now when I start meeting you all again. So I just say, oh, can you just give me your autograph here, and just so I can, just keep and say, I knew you when. So
right.
There's one of these, and our friend is laughing in the background in the green room to all this. Before we bring her up, I'll say Leslie McEwen, good morning, and just want to just do a little promotion here. 2 Sundays ago, had an incredible conversation with some wonderful Black Canadians who are doing incredible, passionate heart work in the Black mental health care field. If you get a chance, go to my website and go to Black Canada Talking. I believe was the episode on March 6th. Okay. Incredible conversation. I've had so much response from that conversation. Just a little sidelight. There's an associate of mine who does teaching at a college in the Greater Toronto area, and she sent me a text message. And she goes, I'm teaching my class right now, and I'm getting them to watch this. And she had a screenshot of the conversation.
Right. Nice.
And I hadn't spoken to her for about 4 months. And she was actually doing, so I'm giving you props. Leslie was one of the key people that were involved in that conversation. Yeah, she said she was doing a lecture on the Anti-Racism Act in Ontario, and she was showing that video.
I love it.
As part of her presentation. So Leslie McEwen, if people do not know her, she is been working for over 30 years in the mental health profession, specifically for Blacks. So please check her out. She does wonderful things, and go to my website or go to my Facebook or YouTube page, watch the conversation. So we've babbled on long enough, and I know this person wants to get on because they're on tour these days. So
absolutely,
there she is on tour. Tour stop. Tour stop. Howie, you're on mute.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Vibe. And
that was a different type of introduction, right?
I will definitely have my pen ready for that opportunity when it presents itself. I'm humble. Thank you.
No problem. Well, why don't you just share with our audience? Some may know you, some may not. Yes. What do you do? Who you are, and let's make it happen after that.
Yes, awesome. So thank you again for having me on the show. My name is Chrisbeth Cowie. I'm the founder of Empowered for X, which is a business training and consulting firm supporting entrepreneurs from ideation all the way through commercialization. What we love to do is provide the training that would help, entrepreneurs build their business acumen. Or far too often we find people that are, starting businesses because they love to do the thing, but running the business is where we see a gap, and really offering them the support and learning to grow their business. And beyond that, our consulting firm, we specialize in digital marketing, operation, and financing. And anything outside of that, we're able to, refer you to different business experts as well. We believe that, having the right team around you is foundational to your business growth. We work with a lot of solopreneurs and realize that 24 hours in a day is not enough to do it all by yourself. So we enjoy and love working with entrepreneurs. So that's what we do in a nutshell. But really, the work that Ryan has been doing with ACBN as one of the co-founders back in 2017, myself, Ryan, and six others came together, or five others. Yes, five others, sorry. Came together.
7 total. Yeah.
Came together to start the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. And I really love what you all were talking this morning about the dependence on grants, and I can't remember who said it in the chat, is not a sustainable way to run your business. It may be, an initial injection of capital if you've had the opportunity to go through organizations like Start a Company Plus. They offer a $5,000 grant, but really beyond that, I will say that you need to know your business, set up the infrastructure, have a solid business plan, and get to work doing some sales.
And I'm curious now, because these grants are available, they're focused on like this specific one with Digital Main Street. What's the best way that you've seen to get that word out to your clients, and especially around registering businesses? Are you seeing a lot of clients that don't have registered businesses, or is it more just they don't know about the information and you kind of take the role of getting it to them?
Yeah, we have clients that have, the vast majority of our clients that we work with have already registered their business in some context. If they are not registered, it is the first thing that we recommend. You need a registered business, and we can reflect on what happened during the pandemic, right? Those early funds were only going to registered business. So your side hustle out of your trunk or wherever you're doing the business was not recognized, right? And so, subsequently thereafter, you continue to see funds now coming. Initially, it was for corporations, right? And then you saw sole proprietors getting that type of support. So really the question we ask our clients when we're working with them is, what are you building, right? And so, yes, starting with a sole proprietor is great. When you get to that $30,000 mark, it is recommended and required that you get HST registered. You could do it earlier, but definitely being HST registered is core. And then really looking at if you're incorporating your HST registered from the jump, right? So those are some of the pieces.
I suggest if anyone has ambitions to be working with big companies,
from the
get
jump.
Incorporated.
Yes. Yeah.
It's an investment.
It's
an investment, not an expense.
It's not that expensive.
Yeah. And it comes back to the vision, right? Where are you going? Even if you're not HST registered, because people say, oh, it's not, you have to do work around filing quarterly or annually. And I can tell you this. When was the last time you bought from an un-HST registered company? You might have questions, right? Like, why is this person not registered with HST registered? That also indicates they're making less than 30,000. So again, the perception around your business from the jump is very important as well. I can tell you in my own journey, from when I was a sole proprietor, I was HST registered from the beginning, and it gave me added confidence going to corporate clients to say, I could do this for you. And they had no questions. It was like, okay, you're established, you're running, this is the type of work you're doing. And no questions asked if I was a sole proprietor or anything like that. So it was really good.
No, that's a very good statement, because when I was getting everything started, I was blessed because of relationships to have a lawyer look over my business. I said to him, like, what should I register under? Sole proprietor, etc. Said no, register as an corporation. I said, he said, why? He said, well, part of the reason, it gives the look that you, when you're dealing with companies, that you've done your due diligence.
Yeah.
Just that alone
Right.
will get you to places where a lot of people don't get to. And they say, well, they'll say that, you've taken the time, you're serious, etc. So that reduces any a potential barrier.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, and you don't want to look small time, especially if you get an opportunity. And that's the one thing, exactly like Chris Beth was mentioning, when I shifted from sole proprietor to incorporated, you notice people treat you different because when you're emailing them and invoicing them, if you're just a sole proprietor, a lot of times it just gets pushed to the side, like, oh, we can get to that later. But when you're incorporated and then you have like a actual employee that calls and follows up, now you have a collections department, you move different. So that's where if a person tells me like, oh, they're a sole proprietor, you work with them different because now they're not open to a lot of the benefits that a corporation brings. But you did touch on that whole business plan concept, and we're seeing so many loans that are focused for the Black community. There's at least 5, and that business plan is the biggest component. So tell us a bit more about what you do to help entrepreneurs with their business plan.
Yeah, so business plan preparation is one of the key documents we work alongside entrepreneurs with to get them, it's a bankable business plan that we work with. However, when we're working with clients, we do not just take anyone. If you're saying, I'm going to go and take this business plan to the bank, and we want to be realistic. So there are 2 types of clients that we see. So if your business is operational, you have some initial sales, some traction in that way, you have some partnerships, you have a story to tell about, hey, I've done this in my business and we want an injection of capital to do more, right? And so this is where we now look at what that more is. Sometimes what we see is entrepreneurs, they want to boil the ocean. They're like, oh, I want the full $250,000. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? Oh, you need to tell us where we need to. I'm like, we didn't sign up for that course just yet around like business planning and strategic planning. So when with some of these loans that we're seeing, it is with the CIBC loan, which Empowered FX has a partnership with, we are seeing that they have set aside a percentage of the funds to go towards working capital, which is great. Many loans oftentimes leave that out. And the rest of it, therefore, goes into things like marketing and equipment for your business, right? And really looking at the tangible or assets in your business. And so when you're thinking about your business plan and your business, what does your business need? Really think along the lines of, if I put in $1, what is that return of it on the investment going to be, right? And that's what the banks want to see. So for companies that are established, we're able to help them fine tune and tell that story of their history, and then really start asking them challenging questions. Where's this money going to go? The biggest thing about our team, we are partnered with CPAs. So it's not myself, a non-financial expert supporting in that financial part. We match you with a CPA who is then able to go through your numbers. One of the biggest things that we have found when working with clients, they don't know their numbers, right? What is the cost of goods sold? All of these things. They've just been running their business, whether at a profit or a loss. Some of them don't know. And that's really where a lot of even eye-opening experiences for the clients, they get to see, is this business financially viable? What needs to change in order to make it financially viable? So those are some of the types of questions and conversations we have with established business. With startups, again, my word of caution and advice is, you cannot do everything. You conquer your vision in this injection of funds in this plan. So again, scoping the work. So yes, you may have that grandiose vision. That is great. We write that. However, where do you start? Where you planting your flag is very key. And the banks want to see that where you decide to start, you've done the market research. Please, people, do the market research. And with us, we also have a research team that is going to be doing the types of research that is sustainable and what the banks want to see around your industry. And then subsequently the financial conversation and so on and so forth. But really looking at, okay, what is my idea? What is the market for it? Is it a viable business in this type of economy? Is it financially viable as well? And then we're also talking about what is the strategy to go to market if you haven't gone there already. So being able to lay out those pieces clearly in the plan is very important.
And I'm curious, when you're talking with entrepreneurs, and well, there's two sides, one the good side, one the bad side. So the bad side is when you do notice this business is not viable or things are missing. What's that conversation like? Like, how do entrepreneurs typically take that kind of feedback when like the data is telling you that something's flawed in their business? And of course, everybody loves their business. So I'm curious how it's received.
Me, I think we've had a couple of those. And one of the things I would say is that we go based on the numbers, right? Myself, I'm a business owner as well. I'm very emotional and passionate about what we do. So I can understand that across the board. But the biggest wake up call for myself is looking at the numbers. What are we doing, right? And so when we use one of the KPIs we use is looking at the financials of an existing business to say, this is what you've done. You're $100,000 or $80,000 in the hole. How are you going to come out of that? And I say with my calculator, I'm able to do some numbers. It's come down to the numbers. Okay, that means you need to make 200 sales for the year in order to get to that threshold that you have, or start coming out of that. They talk about when you're starting a business, there's the valley of debt where you're spending, right? That is normal. However, what entrepreneurs need to be thinking about is that recovery time. How much time and effort and sales do I need to go into to bounce back? The reality is we take a very objective approach to telling people, unfortunately, if you're going to save this business, this is what is required. And most people, they say thank you and sometimes continue doing the same old thing, expecting the business to work. And we have people that have worked with our consultants to help them bounce back as well. So it is not an overnight silver bullet. With each business, it is very different. And, all of our businesses are unique in that way. So it's not a cookie cutter approach with us here at all, but really looking at the core and fundamental pieces when running a business.
Yeah. So now on the other side, sorry, go ahead, Dr. Man.
No, I just want to say really quickly to what Chris Best is saying to some people: stop making love to your business, your idea. Right? We all have the greatest ideas in the world. We all know they're going to make multi-million dollars, but stop making love. Once you stop making love to your idea, you'll begin moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm complete. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I would just add to that. And I mean, it is, yes, we're passionate about what we do, but it's now to also have that hat to say, how can I look at this thing from the perspective, I am going to have to be making tough decisions in my business. And so the analogy that people sometimes use is, my business is my baby. And someone said, stop using that analogy, because the reality is you may need to cut, you're cutting team, you're cutting resources, you're making adjustments, and you don't want to be cutting up your baby. This is not the time of Solomon at all. So we want to be able to say, yes, this is my business. It's a separate entity, once you're incorporated, and it's now we need to make decisions that will help us move forward in a sustainable way, in a way that we're still causing and creating positive impact as we're moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm curious now, on the other side, you business owners sitting with you, financials look good. What are you seeing are some of the barriers that are stopping viable businesses from scaling and growing? I mean, I'm curious, what you've heard, because if a company's making money, why are they still stuck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a couple of things that we've seen is operations. So we typically do an as is state with our clients when we're auditing and assessing their operations. So their delivery, a lot of clients we work with is in the service-based industry. And so on the tail end, getting the product to the customer is sometimes very costly, and the way and in which they're doing it is not seamless, right? And so when we look at, okay, how do you gain that awareness of the customer? How do you gain their attention, and you're working to converting them, all of those things? What is that user journey looking like? When they're interacting with you, we sometimes see customers either falling off or not getting served in a timely way, and they're getting that customer feedback about, oh, I wish, great product, but the customer service is slow, or something to that effect. And then when we take that audit, we then try to find what's working well, what's not working well. We don't say, let's completely overhaul your business in that way, because we try to find things that work, right? If it's not working, then we need to definitely have those types of conversation. But sometimes it could be an injection of a tool like a CRM to help you automate some of the processes that you're doing in your business. Sometimes it may be the wrong person that's doing that job in your business, and that's, we look at tools and people to really say, and the process to say, okay, is that documented? Sometimes businesses have a high turnover. They're using students, they're using part-time help. And so now could we start creating those, standard operating procedure documents to say we have a process, it's written, it's not just in the founder's head to then move their business forward.
Interesting. Bring up a comment here. Angie says, I find a lot of Black business fail because they don't have a realistic understanding of how businesses work. People should take a course if on how to run a business, a serious business. And also I will add there, and it's interesting, Ryan and I were chatting in the last week or so. There was a show that I turned Ryan on to a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he knows what I'm going to say. So people, if you have access to internet, if you go to YouTube, there's a show called The Prophet.
Oh,
wow. Okay. Chris Beth knows about this show.
Ryan introduced me to The Prophet, and I was just telling Ryan yesterday. Ryan and I watched the one about the brother and sister that's running a furniture company.
Yes.
And I could tell you, Dr. Vibe, no word of a lie, I had a recent client that was doing exactly the same thing, robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of analogy, right? So I was like, I am going to send this to this client. Like, I don't know how you get the full episode, but you need to watch that. Hopefully it helps your business in that context. And the other piece I would say why I see businesses not able to scale is the mindset of the personality of the entrepreneur that creates that bottleneck. So I will just share that as well.
Yeah, if you get a chance, and I'm not getting paid for this, so but unfortunately the show's not on anymore, but they have clips and reruns on YouTube. Folks, I would highly recommend you watch it. Even if it's for 10 minutes or so, the clarity that Marcus Lemonis gives in regards to entrepreneurship is incredible. And the funny thing is the show was on for 4 or 5 years, and 90% of the time when he asked to look at a company's financials, they were terrible, or some of them didn't even have them. So do have your financials in place. Right. But he had the 3 P's he believes in: process, people, and product. And he says most of the time an entrepreneur's business, process is what kicks them. Mm-hmm. People do not have process in place. And when you don't have a process in place, there are things that are going to hit you. You have no idea on how to deal with them. So he really, really, really says process.
Yes. And actually, I think I've shared with this audience before, we've added 4 P's. So the first P for us is the purpose of the organization, or your purpose that you're bringing to the organization. And then subsequently the other ones. When we're talking about operations, we look at the purpose, the people, the product, the process, and the T for us is the technology, the tools that's
So
able to get.
you should DM Marcus and tell him you've added on to it.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
Actually, him and I follow each other on Twitter. Believe it or not, he follows me on Twitter.
Solid.
I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I watched a couple episodes, and yes, he is all about. Let's tell me your numbers, right? And I can be honest as well. You know, in my own entrepreneurial journey, and someone mentioned if you've never gone through some sort of business training, it is highly recommended. Ryan and I read a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. I talk about it a lot because what's in there is core. He says most entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, or, you know, indigenous or anything like that. Most of us start our businesses because we experience something, we're passionate about something. But what he calls that is the entrepreneurial seizure. I'm going to do something for myself. But the truth is we lack the business acumen. And in his books, he worked to really help bolster and support the learning about what it is truly required in order to run a business, right? Not just a side hustle, but a business.
Or another thing that, and no matter what stage I've seen entrepreneurs, many of them, they're afraid to ask. They can't get their ego out of the way. They're afraid to ask. And just piggybacking on what Chris Beth said, if you don't understand the business stuff, hire an operations manager. Hire someone who knows about that stuff. Because you as an entrepreneur, you do not have probably the time to do it. Find someone, interview people, get them to give you references so they can, and you can contact the business they've worked with and find out. But hire an operation. It's not an expense, it's an investment. You're going to get your time back to work on your business. Interesting, Angie is saying here, a lot of black businesses are not welcoming to clients, customers. Customer service stinks. They operate if they're doing you a favor, like you're betting. I've heard that a lot. I think I think sometimes that's yes, but I think that's in every culture. There are, you know, very true ends, and they tend to overprice their goods. Whoa, it's okay. All right. Well, interesting. I was going to mention this today, that I had an organization call me yesterday, and I had no idea who they were. I usually do not pick up phone calls from places I don't know, but I saw, okay, this may sound like an organization. So I call, oh, my name is so-and-so. I was introduced by so-and-so. We have an app. I just won't get into, and we're doing like free signups for black businesses. I go, I don't know who you are. Like, you gave me all your pitch. I go, I don't even know who you are. Yes, I know the person that told you to give me a call. That's great, but I don't. And they'll say, okay, so
right.
And then she started going, okay, let's get ready to sign you up. I go, hello.
Right.
I'm going, I don't know who you are. Do you have an online presence? Oh, send me something first. Let me read it, and then I'll think if I'll come. And I still haven't got anything yet. I don't. I know they don't have my email address. So it's going, oh my goodness. I'm just going, wow. Right. I'm going, wow. So. You know, but Angie says, yes, indeed, Liquid Green, all about money, not service, very unprofessional. All right. Some of them, not all of them. I'm just going to, let's put it that way. I think, but that's another good point that we're talking about here. Customer service, foundational. Customer service and relationships will take your business either as high or as low as you're going to go.
Yeah. What I have actually seen from the businesses that we've worked with, a lot of Black businesses are underpriced, right? So one of the things, a client that I have, he sells Jamaican patties. I think it's like $6 a patty. And, you know, for me, I was like, $6 a patty, what's in that? Like, go, you know? But what I realized, folks, you know, if I'm being honest, sometimes the majority of our business comes from outside of our community. This is where I applaud him. He's like, my clientele are not Black. Majority of them are not Black. They're white, Asian, and they there's almost this exotic thing around the Patties and how he
Value.
presents the value, how he presents his brand. You get that experience, like it is coming from, overseas in that way. But I want to say, for everybody, check your pricing, and not just you doing the numbers. Go to a subject matter expert, meet a CPA, have that conversation, understand your unit economics. Are you paying yourself? Most times, one of the reasons why we're pricing so low is because we're not paying ourselves. So I want to just, I love the team over at Liquid Green. I would just say encourage people to start paying themselves. And that's something that in my own journey, I was like, yeah, this is how much the business, my coaches have said to me, Chris, but are you paying yourself? This was a couple of years ago. Guess what? There is a dollar line, a line that says Chris Cowie.
My main mentor, Mary Armstrong, taught me something a long time ago. It says, Dr. Vibe, you don't want to be a BEB. I go, Mary, what's that? Break even business. Right. You don't want to be a break. But Chris Beth, you bring up a very interesting conversation piece. And I was thinking about, as you were sharing, what about the challenge that some Black entrepreneurs saying, you know what, if I put up my pricing, I'm not going to be able to sell to people who look like me.
Yeah,
can maybe an internal struggle, because Black people want to serve your community, but then you say, you know what, I gotta eat.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, and this is where not leaving our community behind, but really saying, I want to help you see the value that we're bringing, right? Because and I've worked with folks in the, as I said, majority in the service-based industry, and they are underpriced. And one of the things is, hey, I am considered, raising my price. I understand that the people that would have traditionally bought from me would not be able to meet this. But a lot of people are coming from our community say, give me that deal, give me the discount, give me this thing. Whereas, it is a value, and the perspective around value as well. It is a tough one, I would say, but definitely in our case, as our prices increase, we are finding alternatives that we can plug people into, so that our mandate is everybody gets help, right? We may not be able to write. We once wrote business plans for $1,500 back in the day. I will tell you, our business plans are no longer $1,500. But at this point in time, what I utilize and do for folks is use tools. I give them tools. I say, hey, have you heard of the business model canvas? Especially if they're starting from scratch, go map your business and come back, right? They don't have anything written. And so I give guidance on how to do that effectively. And then it also demonstrates to me that they're not just wasting my time. I've given that canvas and walk people through that thing. I would say only about 10% of people have come back with it done. Right? So when you demonstrate to me that, listen, I'm serious about my business. I want my plan done. I want to understand the framework of my business.
No, only 10%?
Listen, if that, right? And I'm being generous right now, but yeah, I would say, looking at the follow-up, right? I think on both sides, we struggle with the follow-up. We're so busy. There's so many things that's grabbing our attention that it distracts us from, moving our business forward. And this is one of the things of going back to grants. I like to say, yes, and Ryan says, stack everything. Great. But your time also matters, right? So you do the cost analysis around your business, the time that you're spending. The thing is, if you're leaving the field to go play a different game, you're not playing your game, right? And so if that grant is truly going to be, taking you out to the field, you should be serving a client and you're writing this grant or something else, then that's where organizations like ours and even ACBN comes into play, where you can't do it all focus on the thing that's most important, that's going to be driving your business, and hire an external expert to do the work for you. So that's what I will say around grants and,
So
loans and different things
Christopher
like that.
Lawrence is talking about the patties. Are they gourmet patties? Because that could be a good going rate.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they are, and they're very delicious.
And
I purchased and have
okay.
purchased from my clients, and that's one of the things I love about working with clients that we serve. If I could try their food, if I could try their service, I am definitely on their hit list.
There you go. And she says, in any environment, business or not, you pay yourself first, even at home, running your household. Look at yourself as a bill and pay yourself in savings and or investments. Good take.
That is very great.
Lean is saying, in my experience, it is my people who try to devalue my service. I have a pro bono and sliding scale. However, I don't want to be a BEB. And she also says, I have a list of services. They may not be culturally informed, but can be accessible and helpful. There you go.
Yeah, and I think that I love it, because that's what I try to do, right? Realizing, even for our own business, where you start to where you grow into. So, for example, we are... Sorry about that. We have a business that, where we started was working with the solopreneurs, the startups. I realized working with startups is not going to sustain the overhead that I have for my business. So we've shifted to start saying, okay, we now we were looking for those 1 to 5 team, a company that's growing, realizing that, yes, we have a foothold in that space. Where we're now looking, as we're continuing to grow, is going after the mid to larger companies. We're going after procurement opportunities, different things like that. And this is what I'm saying. I had the vision from the jump, serving all companies, big companies, all of these things as well. What I did in my own journey, I realized that I wanted to start building my muscle, right? And so I started small, look at where I am today, and I give thanks for, the partnerships, people like Ryan, Dr. Vibe, who've been part of the circle, the clients that have trusted us, because I am now confident to go after the bigger guys, right? And
good. So, I was waiting for this moment.
Listen,
I was waiting for this moment. Finally, it happened to me. And sorry, go ahead.
Listen, and the truth is, some people just say, listen, from the jump, I'm going to go after the big guys. But, for me, I'm very passionate about trying to make entrepreneurship accessible to all. And really what we've been able to do over the past couple of years is starting to develop the tools and resources. So as I said, when a startup comes to me, I find startups also take a lot of time. You're working and peeling away. And now, how can I still serve them in a way that I'm not robbing myself in some ways? And so really just being able to find that happy balance. And that's just my journey. I want to make sure that we have tools and resources to help anybody at each of the stages. And I'm very happy to say we're well on our way.
Mr. Knight, you haven't spoken for a while. Open your mouth.
Yeah, I'm just taking in the gems. But as we were talking, of course, it's is it National Women's Month or what
International Women's History?
International, yeah. So with this time, I've read through that bio piece that you did on, oh my goodness, what was that website that did the
weight she carries?
The weight she carries. And it was moving in the way that you're an inspiration to women that you might not even know. So I'm curious, with this platform and it being Women's Month, what would you say to what would you say to other women that are going through a similar journey? And you talked about that, the A, B, and C's that's behind you that you can pull up. What's your guidance to them?
Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, the weight she carries, Vembia is an amazing writer, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity recently as well. And I think Dr. Vibe, you were alluding to this, CIBC also did a feature.
Yes. Like I said, the book.
Yes,
the book and pen is ready. So when I cross across the border to Brampton, I'm coming for you with pen and book in hand.
Hey, I am very humbled. I want to just say, I think we all have a story, and in my journey, a lot of it had to do with self-confidence. Learning to love myself, learning to build that confidence, and I talked a little bit about that. I think my personality is one of being outgoing, but behind my smile, a lot of pain in my younger days were hidden by it, right? And not talking about it, but eventually coming to a place like Dr. Vibe saying, asking for help, talking about the issues and working through those. And so a lot of it was just confidence in self, learning to love myself, the tragedy of losing a loved one. In addition to epic business failure, that's part of the journey as well. I invested a lot and lost some money, but all of it, I think, lessons learned. What do you do with those tragedies or pains and stuff? You turn it in my case, I used it as stepping stones to move forward. And when opportunities present itself where I could talk about those different things, I try to do that to inspire. As you said, there are people that have read that I have no clue about. I've heard from people who read it, reached out and said, hey, you very inspirational, thank you so much, I feel encouraged. And I have always aspired to make a positive difference on this earth. And I believe that I am living my purpose. And I get very excited because along my journey, I started working in nonprofit and realizing that it's not very sustainable in its traditional ways. I love social enterprise. And so if you're running a nonprofit, please consider putting on that business hat, right? You have something, you have value. Let's talk about how we can help you in that way. And that's something we do for folks. But really beyond that is everybody have to find that within themselves at the end of the day. Motivational speakers, inspirational speakers, authors could write and speak until they're blue in the face, but until you find and understand your worth and your value, your purpose, it is a journey, I would say. Yeah.
So got some more comments here. Liquid green products, unfortunately, within our community, price takes precedent over quality value. Fortunately for us, the biggest bang comes from outside the community, but it is gradually changing to increase education. Christopher says, going back to Leslie's point, if a business has great services, however find the low prices, perhaps finding a niche market where price points can be a little bit more respected. Okay, I think we're gonna have to have a show on this because it looks like this is a very interesting topic to chat about with our community. Hayden says,
I guess that I would recommend to come in and talk about pricing is Andre from Flip and Floss, Andre Smith. He's done some of our financial literacy workshops, and the guy's on point around pricing.
Right.
He has the CPA background, all of those things. A very engaging speaker as well.
We will take you up on that. Hayden says, I don't care who you sell or where you get your profits as long as you spend it in our community. That's how others building community wealth. Angie, as a financial advisor, a lot of Black people put off protecting themselves with insurance investments. Facts, especially insurance. Then something happens and the GoFundMe page is ridiculous. Well, as I say, there are too many people that are dying with a bill, not a will. Next conversation point. Christopher Lawrence, what is the going rate for business plan development, Chris Beth?
Yeah, so we typically charge $5,000, and that includes an extensive market research, the CPA, a bit marketing strategy, and preparing the documents so that you can take to the bank. One of the things that we've been really working on is the partnerships such as CIBC and Alternate Savings, understanding what they need and require. One of the things is that credit score, right? And so understanding, yes, we can write the plan. If your business is within its first 1 to 2 years, or even those early 5 years, the banks are looking at your personal credit. So if you're not in shape, that oftentimes what we have seen is the biggest bottleneck, right? And so we then pair and support you with some credit building support on that front, but $5,000 plus tax.
HST.
Yes.
Angie, self-love is so important and deep, more in depth than some may think. And she also says, preach, sister. All right. Man, this has been a quick hour. Woo! Tobias. So, and definitely, it sounds like we're going to have to do a conversation about some things that came up here today about pricing, value, and all that. I think that certainly came out from the audience. And again, thank you, audience, for help making an epic conversation. Chris Beth, what would you like to leave us with? Any final comments today?
Yes, understanding your business is key, and not just from being in the weeds, right? And the talk about working in your business versus on your business. I think far too many of us don't take that time for planning. I'll just share this quickly. And Ryan was the one who shared the inspirational quote around, I have a client that is in panic mode. Their business is failing. They're struggling. When I first onboarded them, I was not aware of all of the financial disasters that was happening in the back end. And basically the things that we've done did not work efficiently. And you think about B2B sales, there is a long sales cycle. If I give you some marketing support today, don't expect the solution to be happening tomorrow, right? And so I think learning on my end, really setting and understanding the expectations. But the challenge is, I want to see my people win. I want to see my clients win. And so there was nothing else I could say, nothing else I can do. But when I was debriefing with Ryan, he had shared that don't let someone's lack of planning become your emergency. Right? As a consultant, we're seeing tons of people. And so the invitation here to everyone, planning is core for your success. And yes, you will not be able to see the COVIDs and the pandemics and all of these things. But guess what? Now we know a pandemic lockdowns are possible. We also need to keep in mind the contingency plan, risk assessment as we're moving forward, right?
Sustainability.
And Thank you. You're not just looking at one revenue stream, which is fine to start. But beyond that, what is the next thing? Some people only have one client and the one client goes away. Where do we get our second? Don't get too comfortable in this space.
You have to have a lot of people in your queue. Yeah. Because as Chris Beth said, especially if you're working B2B wise, those things can take a long time. Yeah. And if you're just relying on that one client and you're not working other clients at the same time, and what happens if that one client you're working on says no? And actually that, I'm not going to get in details, but there was a client who I've been working with for a long period of time, year and a half, waiting for an answer. And I finally got an answer from them the other day. And they said, oh, we've decided to go this route. I said, okay, no problem. I hope it all works okay. Can I follow up with you in a few months? Because you got to realize something. I'm going to give 3 quick points here. First of all, as an entrepreneur, you only have control of yourself. You do not have control of the outcomes. You don't control the outcomes. Also, you have to like curiosity. You have to be curious, because once you become curious, then you want to start comprehending. And once you comprehend, you get confident, and then you can share and present. And then finally, entrepreneurs, you don't use the word failure. Say you're experimenting.
It's a mindset thing at the end of the day, right?
You're not failing, you're experimenting.
And this is where I would just also share, you don't go for the $80,000 experimenting or lessons learned, right? How do you scope a smaller, a testable space to say, is this viable, right? And I have seen too many people come to us. They've invested a lot of money. They did no research. And that's why my plans before, and I think it was Christopher that asked about the plans. The type of research that we're doing now for our clients is not just for the plans, but also to equip them to know where they should be navigating. What are the opportunities? So we do an extensive market research. Research your business. Test your business before you go, hey, world, we're ready to launch, right? And so that's
those focus groups. Have those focus groups. I'm going to be part of a launch of a global initiative very soon. And I've sent out the tagline to a group of people to see what are their thoughts. Does this make sense? So have that focus. You need a team, right? You need a team. Can't say enough. You need a team, and you need to have people to bounce things off to get their honest opinion from. So Christopher says, have a good weekend. Chris Beth, Dr. Van Ryan. He also says, first attempt in learning, fail. The acronym fail. There we go.
And you may
Angie
need to
says,
do many first attempts, like keep firsting for, just until
fail
it's
fast.
Yes,
fail fast.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fail fast and fail often, right? Or not. Experiment fast and experiment often. Sorry.
But I want to just going back to the evidence-based research. So you don't fail doing the same thing. It should be something new, something, that you have learned from and made some changes and go forward in that way. So every time you fail, it should be that first attempt at something
that's an experiment.
New. Yes.
I love the word experiment. And people say, "Oh, you say, hey, I'm experimenting. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Right? What are you doing? Tell them. Yeah. They say, "Oh, you didn't come through." No, I'm experimenting. What are you doing? Thank you for a great conversation, Angie. You made it happen. So if you want more Chris Beth, all roads lead to Empowered 4X right there. And as like I said, when you go see her, take your book and your pen in hand to get that autograph. Agreed. Right? Because if you don't do it, you're going to have to say, oh, I knew her when. So, well, thank you again, Chris Beth. Happy International Women's Month. Continued doing some great stuff, and we will catch you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cool,
Dr. Knight, you didn't chat much today. What was going on?
Okay. Hey, as they're talking, I'm learning. So
okay, we're just
don't
sharing.
Need to interrupt.
So Ann just says, in business or in any area of life, do not chase. Let them come to you once you put yourself out there. Thanks for a great conversation. Tara, this was a really great conversation. Thank you, Tara. We appreciate that. And Earl, always exploring. And Liquid Green, nice to hear you, Chris Beth. Congrats on your move. So yeah, excellent. And again, for people who want to get to apply for that Ontario government grant loan for Indigenous, and remember, this is not just for Blacks, it's Black and Indigenous. So there's a whole pile of people going to be competing. There is the website address right there. Okay, so you can catch that there. If you want to catch replays of what we do, what's going on this weekend, Ryan Knight?
So Saturday we have Black Boys Code. We were doing a 3-part series, Introduction to Machine Learning. So this is the third and final part. The boys are going to be building their apps out and having it learn. So it's interesting giving computers information to learn and make decisions. So it's been quite fascinating. I'm like just a student myself learning. But Sunday it's going to be taking it easy. I'm still trying to keep to that regimen of keeping Sunday light.
Yeah, well, actually, hopefully you'll be able to watch on Sunday. A nice segue. Black Canada Talking. On Sunday, we're going to have a gentleman who's one of the key people in the Black Business Association of BC.
Okay, nice. Yes.
So he's going to be on Black Canada Talking, which you can watch live Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the Dr. Vibe Facebook page or YouTube page. So do subscribe. Also subscribe to the ACBN Facebook page, YouTube page, etc. Let me just see. Got one more comment flying here.
All right.
And Mr. Marlon Stevens just jumped in. Hello, you're gonna have to watch the replay, brother. But good to see you. Good to hear you. Any final words before we let people go? I'm glad. Thank you to everyone who made this a great conversation. Love the interaction, folks. Really, really good stuff. Great interaction today. So for myself, if you want to get a hold of me, there are all the deets: website, email, Facebook, Instagram, all those funky things.
Solid.
And I am on YouTube. I shouldn't even put in LinkedIn, but that's okay. Any last words, Ryan?
No. Looking forward to Monday, and have a good weekend.
Ryan's going to be, Ryan's getting
I'm just
anxious.
looking at the sun.
Yes, you can see, like,
I just love the sun.
Once it's finishes, the shirt and tie are off, the green shirt is on.
Right.
It's green
Yes.
shirt season. It's green shirt season. So everybody, as always, we end off with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and remember, it is important to manage your time, but it's just as, if not more important, to manage your energy. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith. Walk good. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend and enjoy the better weather in Toronto.
Yes.